Welcome to another episode of Paranormal Perspective. I'm John Lorden, and joining me as always is...
Christy Arnhart.
This is the show where Christy does the research looking into a paranormal or paranormal adjacent topic, presents her case. We do this in front of a live stream audience. We put a question to them, is this really paranormal or not? And they decide who wins. What do I do? Typically nothing. I typically sit here, I listen to Christy's presentation, poke holes in it wherever I can, just trying to use whatever life experience I have, some logic, occasionally little quick internet side searches. And we've gone through many, many episodes. I would say, Christy, would it be fair to say that most of the time I win?
I would think so, yeah.
I think if we total them all up, I'm over the 50% mark.
Yeah, I think you are.
But we decided to change things up for this specific episode. Now, in those numerous episodes, there have been a few topics you have brought up where I myself would vote for your side, which of course makes it really hard for me to hold this kind of skeptical point of view. This topic in particular today is hitting that vein for me. It's one of those, I'm a believer in certain things. I'll tell you about it as we're going through it. And this is one of those things that might be supported by that belief. What are we talking about today? Well, I think we have to give a very big thank you to one of our regular live viewers named Chris Donovan. She sent me down the rabbit hole of gravity wells, or should I say, she sent me up the rabbit hole, because that would make more sense for gravity wells.
That's true.
Gravity wells is the topic. That's what we're talking about today. The question we will be putting to the audience is, could one of these gravity hills... All right, so I just blew all that. I had a typo in my script.
I was just going to let
I'm
you
talking about hills, not gravity wells. That's an actual space thing. That's a real thing, I think.
It is.
Yeah, gravity wells are real. Or wait, no, is it... Now I got to look. Hold on, what's a gravity well? I'm going to leave all this in, by the way. What does a gravity well do? Yeah, a gravity well is the result of the pull of gravity caused by a body in space, such as a planet. I've been watching too many space YouTube videos. Yeah, not a gravity well. We're talking about gravity hills, people. Gravity hills.
You and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
It's funny you should mention him. I might have some information from him later in the episode. Wow. And just, I've done my usual thing. I have a bunch of sources. I've got some stuff highlighted. We're going to go through the screen share together. It's going to feel a little bit like an episode of Brain Scratch or Searchlight or something, except we're talking about gravity hills. So the question, will be, could one of these gravity hills be supernatural? So let's take a look at the first source that we got here. All right, so this is from onlyinyourstate.com telling us about Texas's bizarre gravity hill. Shane Road in San Antonio features a gravity hill where cars roll uphill, linked to a tragic bus accident. Hiding in plain sight on San Antonio Shane Road is a phenomenon so mysterious, science has not yet been able to offer a single explanation. There. Episode over. Let's put the vote to the audience.
Whatever. No.
It says science can't explain it.
Well, science can explain it, yeah. But,
perhaps even eerier than the actual gravity hill is its heartbreaking backstory, guaranteed to leave the most diehard skeptics shaking in their boots. You hear that, Christy? You're the skeptic for this episode.
I'm not shaking yet, but I will be.
You will. I'm sure you will be. One dark and dreary night, nearly a century ago, a bus full of Catholic school children was on its way home from a class field trip when it stalled on these very railroad tracks. There was no train approaching, so their teacher simply tried to restart the vehicle. The blaring horn of a train sounded not even 100 feet from the bus. Its conductor had forgotten to turn on his lights. which explains why the approaching locomotive seemingly appeared out of nowhere. The teacher made one last-ditch effort to restart the bus to no avail. The speeding train crashed into the bus, nearly splitting it in half due to the immense force. All of the children were killed, but the nun survived. Weeks later, she was so overcome with guilt that she decided to take her own life. What do you think she did, Christy? She went back to the tracks. She drove onto the railroad tracks, parking directly on them, and she placed her car in neutral, waiting for that train to come along. As a train approached, the soft voices of children outside her vehicle began to grow louder before the car was miraculously pushed out of harm's way. Tiny handprints were later found covering the bumper.
Wow.
Any insight or opinion you want to give yet, Christy? What do you think about this story so far? Believable? Are you on board?
I think, well, believable, yeah. Yeah. It could be. Has it been proven that any of these people actually lived? That there was a school bus accident there?
What, like, I have to prove that these are real people? That's part of the condition. You've been listening to me too much, apparently, in the episodes where I'm sitting in your seat.
I have.
All right. Well, let me tell you, there's things about this story that sound kind of like a story to me. Like, bus full of school children. Like, it's got to be some kind of major dramatic accident. And these conditions about like, oh, the conductor forgot his light and all that. Is that really believable?
I mean, strange things happen. Is there anything in the area that points to the accident? I mean, that would be awful.
Believe it or not, we have news coverage. 26 children killed when fast freight crushes school bus. Not only do we have news coverage, I didn't fake this. I didn't make this in Canva. This is legit. San Antonio, the light. Not only do we have, here is a picture of the school bus with the train running over it. Definitely, these deaths are legitimate. They are legitimate. Now, let's go to a very interesting source. I don't think we've ever used this source, especially for this side of the argument on this show before. We're going to Snopes to fact check the San Antonio ghost children. Do the protective little ghosts of children killed at a railway crossing push stalled cars off the tracks? So they're doing their fact check on it. They have their badge system. The badge they're giving this is legend. Now, some of the badges I've seen are usually like debunked. Like there's strong terminology for like, oh, we've proven this isn't true.
Yeah.
Legend, to me, doesn't necessarily say that it's not true. There's things that happened in the past that I believe are legendary. I don't know. I don't know. This legend dates to at least the early 1970s. The horrific accident that created the protective ghosts is said to have involved an oncoming train and a school bus stalled on the tracks. According to widely believed lore, spirits of the slain youngsters forever after haunted that location, shoving stalled cars out of harm's way, lest more innocents share their fate. We have an example here. So we know this is local lore. We know people are understanding that's what happens in this area. So people are going there and testing it. Here is a story from someone. My cousin and I had gone to San Antonio, and we heard numerous rumors of some haunted railroad tracks. The story was a school bus full of children had stalled on these tracks with the train coming. The train was going too fast for there to be time to get the children off, so they all died. So that story's a little different because now he's saying the speed was the issue with them not getting the children off the stalled bus. But when we finally found the tracks, we stopped the car, parking it right on the railroad tracks. We were both a little nervous and scared and waited for something to happen. Just when we were about to leave, the car started rolling. We were both too freaked out to do any more than grab each other and gasp, eyes wide, mouths open. After what seemed like an eternity, but was actually less than 5 minutes tops, the car stopped rolling. We looked around and we were off the railroad tracks. Now, that may not seem spooky, but what we saw next scared us enough to jump back in the car and make the 6-hour trip home that night. Both of us got out of the car and walked around to the back, After the first 6-hour drive, our car had accumulated quite a bit of dust on it. That's not scary, no. But what was scary was the little sets of handprints all over the back of the car, all the size of children's hands.
That's scary. That's very scary.
So we have...
How do they know? But how do they know it wasn't the handprints that they had already put on the car?
Well, because they made that drive, right? So they're saying that the dust kicked up from their 6-hour trip. And the size, I assume these are adults since they're driving. So they're saying the size of the handprints were children's handprints on the back of their car after it rolled off.
Well.
So we have the original lore. We're able to support it with headlines. These are front page news for legitimate newspapers.
What year is that from?
1930, I believe. Let me see if I can see it better on this next one. I think it's 1930 if I remember correctly. I have so many different dates from doing the research on this. LVIII. If someone out there knows Roman numerals, convert that for me. But no, I think that's a volume number. That's not the year. It's 1930s. Oh, it might be 19. I don't know. I can't make out the 2 digits, but
that's odd. It happened in the 30s, but it didn't really pop up till the 70s.
Well, we don't know about all the different occurrences that might have happened of it. I'm just pointing out, we know the early lore about the story. We have someone that is going there having a similar experience, obviously in more modern times. We can tie it to an actual event that's happened. And Christy, if you want more proof, the San Antonio ghost tracks. Ready?
I'm ready.
But what we're going to do is we're going to put the car in neutral. And do we turn off the car?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like it's uphill. But, well. Car's in neutral and off. And the foot is off the brake. So, and we are slowly moving.
Do you hear I hear footsteps of children. Do you hear that?
No.
Because ghosts don't have feet, Christy. Don't you watch Casper? Ghosts don't have feet.
They're gliding.
How are they? With wings? What do you mean they're gliding?
Well, they're ghosts. They float.
Oh. I thought you meant the men in the car are gliding. Look at this. That thing is moving.
It is.
Thank you, little kids.
He even thanked the kids.
Well, I mean, if they're pushing you over, you got to thank them, right?
All right. So, the counter argument to this, what does science say, right? I wanted to go with the preeminent science source of our time. You mentioned his name earlier.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes. However, apparently Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't care about a bus full of school children, because I couldn't find any comment on him from him talking about gravity hills. Gravity wells, you could find all kinds of stuff, but gravity hills, I couldn't find anything. So instead, we're going to have to go with the next step down in terms of a scientific source, and that's Wikipedia. What does Wikipedia say? Wikipedia says a gravity hill, also known as a magnetic hill, mystery spot, gravity road, or anti-gravity hill, is a place where the layout of the surrounding land produces an illusion, making a slight downhill slope appear to be an uphill slope. Thus, a car left out of gear will appear to be rolling uphill against gravity.
So it's an optical illusion.
That's what science says. Okay. Snopes didn't say that.
So.
Snopes said legend. And we've confirmed. We've seen it.
Let me see the article again.
These are real. I'm not lying. These are 100% real.
Okay, and it says that it was in Texas that this happened.
There's one in particular. I don't think hold on, let me find it. I've got more. There's one other one where you can look at this. No. But this one shows, look, San Antonio.
But does it say that this accident happened in San Antonio?
Well, I mean, like literally even on my screen, I can't read this effectively, but we'll get to it.
Okay.
So that's the counter argument, that it's just some kind of optical illusion, even though we know that,
It was really ghost children.
This did happen to these children. So now, if there's anything that I've learned in all the episodes that we've done here on Paranormal Perspective, it's that you really can't trust modern news sources to cover this stuff. So I found an article from the San Bernardino County Sun from November 1st, 1967. Okay, so I'm going to move us. I have a few different hills I want to talk about here. Columnist Earl Buey, in his column called They Tell Me. There's Earl right there.
Mm-hmm.
He asked his readers about gravity hills, and he was flooded with information about one that was close to him at a place called Waterman Canyon. So let's see here. And almost everybody but me, it seems, knows that Gravity Hill is off the old road to Waterman Canyon, east of today's Sierra Way and 44th Street. There, you can drive down the hill, turn off your motor, place the car in neutral, and it will run back up the hill. Even a tin can, if you place it on the road, will roll uphill. At least that's what they tell me. This guy had dozens, just in this article, dozens of replies from people that have experienced it firsthand. So let's fill that gap in a little bit, because I know we started with only 2 stories, the lore story and then someone that went there and had an experience after the fact. The information from this guy just fills it in. There's so many people for this particular Gravity Hill that went there and experienced it. Some believe that the gravity was actually reversed on the hill. Others thought that there was actually a magnetic pull that was responsible, which is interesting. We know in terms of ghost hunters how often that they're using magnetic meters. And one of the commenters in this even said, I think it's getting weaker. Like they had gone there multiple times and they're like, before it was stronger, it seems to be getting weaker now. So they've
used all the gravity in that area. Sorry,
but I'm just saying that might support the magnetic pull. One thing I do know from Neil deGrasse Tyson is magnetism and the Earth does change. Like even the North Pole moves. So that could make some sense. But there was no talk of ghosts in any of this. It's pretty much people just talking about this strange experience at this place. It was very technical in some places. Of course, a few people did mention the possibility of an optical illusion, but never any information to really support it. It was like, I think it's just an optical illusion. But thankfully, one person had the thought to do what I would do if I was close to it. He went out there with a group of friends, and they took some of the most advanced scientific tools of the time to check it out.
Oh, wow.
Is she patronizing me?
I'm not. And I knew that sounded like it as soon as I said it. No, I'm not. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Levels. They took levels out there, because that's the thing, right? If it's an optical illusion, then the levels are going to show that.
Yeah.
What they found was the uphill, what they thought was uphill, was not necessarily uphill. But it also wasn't downhill. To their words, quote, they said the ground was literally, quote, almost perfectly level. So if that's true, why would your car still move when it's put in neutral? Why would a tin can still roll up it if it's flat?
I don't know.
And of course, no one in any of these comments knew anything about the ghost children.
I know, just the one in Texas.
Well,
San Antonio, Texas, yes.
Well, now let me flesh out my theory a little bit. I think that these might be kind of trauma zones. We've talked about big losses before with airplane crashes and things like that, and energies that could be left behind. I think these might be areas like that where there's just been some form of significant trauma that has caused this area a bizarre energy. And that's where it rubs against my, I've talked many times on this show about, I do believe that there's some energy that we can't understand in terms of us and our soul and how that interacts with other people and their soul. Even when we were talking about the energy vampire, I'm not sure if there's literally a transfer that's happening or if it's just me going up and you going down. So that's where I'm leading in terms of my belief with this.
Okay.
So why could this one be real based on this new theory about trauma? What kind of trauma would have happened in this area? Well, little known fact about Waterman Canyon, numerous lives have been lost there for many years. There are stories of fires, floods, even induced heart attacks from the scares of those events. This area reportedly sees events and grief at what someone could consider a biblical proportion. Check out this headline from 1916. Damage in county be $1 million.
That's the worst headline I've ever seen.
Well, I guess in 1916, if it didn't fit, they would just drop words out of the sentence. Damage in county be $1 million. Here it is. Several lives lost. Wall of water rushes. For floods, Canyon flood, 1930, 1932. This is a search on Waterman Canyon flood. 1930, 1932, 1931, 2003, 1939, 1938. It's just, there's all kinds of floods that happen out there. What else happens out there? Fires. Tragic fires. So many fires. The search on Waterman Canyon fire has over 100,000 matches. And again, dates all over the place. 2003, 1985, 1987, 1979, 1954, 1996, 1980, 1944. It goes on and on and on. And something else, mudslides. Now, okay, we don't have a school bus full of Catholic school children. Not exactly. We did have a serious tragedy happened there in 2003. Grim work in wake of mudslide, 7 dead, 9 missing at church camp. On Christmas Day.
That's sad.
That would turn into 14 lives lost at a church camp on Christmas Day in this area.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Optical illusion.
Well, I do still believe it's an optical illusion.
Well, but remember what Bill Garner said. Bill Garner went there with his high school friends. They took levels. It's perfectly level. That you can't get something rolling uphill if it's perfectly level. Otherwise, my pens would be rolling off my desk right now.
Okay.
So my question is, could there be unseen forces at work on these specific gravity hills that we're talking about?
Well, I'm going to say no, because I do agree with you that, the ground will soak up the energy of tragedy and it'll just leave a pall on everything. But, just a simple Google search showed me that the gravity hill in Texas, and we're talking about the San Antonio one because there's another one in El Paso. The San Antonio hill doesn't work anymore. They redid the street and put in another railroad track, and now you can no longer be pushed over the tracks.
Well, couldn't have
your car just sits there.
Couldn't have redoing the street have disturbed the energy in the area? If you're changing the physical features of the area? First of all, if it was magnetism, maybe. But if it is spiritual, couldn't that also do it? Do the ghosts stay if I destroy the house that was built on the graveyard?
See, that's just it. The ghosts would still be there, but nobody's getting ghost fingerprints.
Yeah,
They're not getting rolled over the hill. They're not getting any more fingerprints on their cars.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a hard, fast rule about that spiritual energy would have to stay if you change the features of a location. I don't
Well,
know.
usually it does. Usually, even if a house gets destroyed, you'll see a ghost walking around out there because it's still tied to the place. But, and again, I do a Google search and it tells me that no, nothing like this ever happened in San Antonio. There was a similar accident in the 1930s that happened in California, but never in San Antonio.
Well, let me think about that as I continue with my presentation here.
Okay.
If I'm right, even if they got the story wrong, it would just have to be some severe traumas in that area that might have induced that same type of energy, right? If that's true, then there should really be, because there's traumatic events that happen all over this world.
Well, yeah.
There should be gravity hills everywhere, right? Shouldn't there?
Say that again.
If it is a collection of some type of traumatic energy that is being stuck to a particular location, we theoretically should have gravity hills that occur in just about every state, all over the world. There should be no like lines of believability, like, oh, it's only in San Antonio. Oh, but that train accident didn't really happen. They'd be everywhere, right?
They would be. I do believe they're all over the place. I know there's at least one here in Arkansas.
Well, not just in Arkansas, Christy. Argentina, Armenia, Australia, Azerbaijan, I can't even say it, Barbados, Belize,
Azerbaijan,
Brazil, Canada, Chile, China, Costa Rica, Cyprus, literally all around the world. And in the U.S., let's take a look. I can't even get to the U.S. because there's so many countries being represented here. Alabama. 1, 2, 3. Alaska, Arkansas. You got 2.
There's 2 of them.
California. We got a bunch. I don't even think they're listing the one that we've talked about. Yeah. They don't even have the one that we've talked about on the list. This list isn't even complete.
It doesn't work anymore. And that's
state.
Because it's an optical illusion.
Well, I didn't find anything about the California one not working anymore. You're talking about San Antonio.
Specifically,
here's what I want you to do. So we've identified there's 2 in your state, right? I want you to go there. Okay. But be sure to bring some flour.
No, I definitely would.
Put your car in neutral. See if it rolls uphill. If it does, that means that you've got the ghost trying to save you. And then you can proceed to the next step. Pull over somewhere safe, get out of your car, and sprinkle the flour around the area that was pushed, specifically looking for any chrome or glass surfaces. But sprinkle that, and you know what you might see?
Little
fingerprints.
And it's not just the fingerprints that were already on the car.
Fingerprints, Christy. Look, I got a picture of it here.
Okay.
It's circled in red.
Okay. I might be inclined to believe the whole thing in San Antonio, which is the one that I think Chris was talking about when she told us about this.
Yeah.
They tested that out, and even water seemed to run backwards when they tested it because of the optical illusion. But as soon as they leveled the road out a little more, it's gone.
But we ran like the video I showed you was San Antonio. It's probably older than the road work. But I still can't. Right. I can't just knock out that the road work might have changed the spiritual energy there. But to your point, like you also raised another issue with San Antonio. So let's continue here.
Okay.
Back to Snopes. It's not fair for me to use a source and not point out everything on both sides of the argument, right? Although the city of San Antonio has long claimed this folktale, the bus accident that sparked the legend took place in a city more than 1,000 miles away. In December 1938, there's your year, 1938. In Salt Lake City, Utah, 26 children aged 12 to 18 lost their lives when the school bus they'd been traveling in stalled on the tracks and was struck by a freight train. How did they not?
That's terrible.
Yeah, how did they not get those kids just running out of that bus as soon as there was any hint of an engine issue. Or I have to wonder, like, did the bus try to cut off the train? Like, that's just, it's stalling. Like, if you had 15 seconds, you could have gotten a lot of those children out, I would imagine. Like, that blows my
you would
mind.
think. I can't. Oh, and look at that. No similar accident took place in San Antonio.
Well, that's actually, where did you see that? Oh, here. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, right.
it's
below what you
interesting
have highlighted,
because
yeah.
I don't think Snopes is doing their research very well on that.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I am actually. To the point. So yeah, death toll here. We can see Salt Lake City is actually at the start of that. It is in the San Antonio paper. So I understand why people misunderstood. It's because it was so widely reported and strongly reported that people in San Antonio were aware of it. This is happening in the 1930s. Their kids are remembering, little sparkles of that story. It's being passed on generationally, and it's changing. Like, I get all that. But then, okay, it didn't happen in San Antonio. It happened in Salt Lake City, right?
Yeah. And there was another one in California. Bad
What's
time
this?
to be on a school bus. There we go. Well, is that the same place? Just
It's
because
Salt Lake City, Christy.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's the same spot.
Christy.
Come on.
What do I got to do here? All right, hold on. All right. So anyway, I'm sticking with my theory. Potentially big traumatic place, or big traumatic trauma sticking to a particular location. We've heard that the accident location changed. We can identify there is another gravity hill that is in Salt Lake City, near Memory Grove, for anyone that lives out there, if you guys want to go check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Because it sounds neat. The optical illusion sounds really cool.
She's trying.
Wasn't there something else with the legend, though, about how street names had been named after the children?
Yeah, I didn't even find it interesting. That's why I didn't include it.
You shouldn't have, because what I'm looking at says that the housing district developer over there named it after his children and not any that were killed.
Oh, well, it's a good thing I
So
didn't use it.
you can ignore that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to ignore it anyway. All right.
Yeah.
So in terms of San Antonio then, well, that train thing didn't happen in San Antonio, right?
Right.
San Antonio train death, 2 million matches.
I would imagine there are lots of train deaths, but are they the children?
Firemen killed. Was caused purposely outside San Antonio. There are so many tragedies that happen related to San Antonio train death. I can't even quite go into them all, and they haven't stopped. Firefighters cut teen out of vehicle after crash at San Antonio's infamous ghost tracks. This is the exact same location.
And see, it wasn't working in 2021.
This
they wasted their time.
This girl, no longer alive.
Oh, that's terrible.
This 2024, 2 children run over at Ghost Tracks Vigil. 2 kids and their mother were out there having a vigil for where their family member died years ago. I don't know if it was this young lady. It might be the young lady that I mentioned previously. Yeah.
Oh, well.
They got hit at the same location.
That's horrible.
It's got me wondering about, well, what did they fix there necessarily? Because apparently they should have put up some better traffic controls or better lighting. I do think the first girl, or actually it might be this one. This one was a drunk driver.
Yeah, he ran them over, is I think what the article said.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Look at all the nonsense the optical illusion is causing.
Well, no. I mean, the optical illusion didn't cause those deaths.
Well, people are there to, well.
No,
yeah,
they were there
that's
because,
true.
Yeah, it was a vigil for someone else that had lost their life there.
Was she testing out the train tracks, or did she just get hit there?
No, she just got hit there.
That's terrible.
Yep. So, I guess I got to start the poll at some point. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Christy. We're putting it to the audience.
Okay.
You have any other any points?
No, I really don't. Considering students from the local university tested it, they couldn't find, the water ran the way they expected. It's very easily proven to be an optical illusion. And there was no accident there. There was no school bus. I know it got transferred, but you can't transfer psychic energy like that. Oh, it happened in California, but we're really going to talk about it here. So there's going to be bad stuff happen here.
No, but I did point out that there's different bad things that we know happened there.
There are, but they happen everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I pointed that out too.
Yeah.
My list of all the different gravity hills.
No. They're optical illusions. Trust me on this. Optical illusions.
What about this? Did you notice that I actually have a picture of the children? Are you going to believe it now?
No.
Christy, look, they're standing at the tracks.
Yeah. No, seriously, this is one that freaked me out as a kid. And I loved it when Chris brought this up. But with just a simple Google search, you can see that no, this is an urban legend that has sparked all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
So what did the audience say?
Let's see. Well, it was just a second ago. Did you vote? Because I can't vote because of me being the host.
You can't vote?
No. So if you voted, you tilted it.
Oh no, I didn't.
Did you vote?
I did, but I didn't.
Oh, here we go. Well, without your vote, it would have been 50-50.
Seriously.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Now someone else. Did your sister just vote? Oh, someone tried to take a vote away. Is that you?
No.
I saw the number go down. Now it's going up.
No, that was not me.
Oh, I'm ending the poll right now. 50-50.
See, I told him earlier if he showed me up on the switched roles here, I was going to spank his ass all the way from Arkansas. So somebody should have took another vote away because he's getting pretty close.
Could one of these gravity hills be supernatural? 50% of the audience said yes. 50% said no. That means no video. I don't take the win, but I don't take the loss. And to Christy's point, let's just go ahead and finish out the research because I did know what she was talking about when it comes to.
Damn it, Possum.
Two things, actually, I wanted to. So the columnist that I mentioned, Earl Buey, because of that column, he said, tomorrow I shall make my own examination of Gravity Hill. It should be interesting as I shall have the services of a city engineer to test the grade. Maybe there isn't any uphill on Gravity Hill. Who knows? He went out there with the engineer, and what did they find? 3-inch downhill. Mm-hmm. Even though it looks like it's uphill, it's a 3-inch downhill. Now, what's interesting is you could tell from this picture. So I read a little bit about that optical illusion thing. And the main belief there is if you can't see the horizon line, it can lead to that type of optical illusion. I guess as humans, we use the horizon line to kind of center us. Look at this. You could see the horizon. It's wide open. This isn't a forested area. Like I looked at some other videos where it was like, oh, I can see that that's a road and the way the trees are leaning or something could kind of throw you off. I don't know. This particular area, it doesn't look like the optical illusion is so great, but they did notice that there was a 3-inch difference. So even though that guy went out there with his levels, he probably didn't test enough different places. And then, the San Antonio Gravity Hill doesn't work anymore. As Christy said, they did construction on it. Union Pacific Railroad is installing a 10,000-foot siding track that will run parallel to the main line. As part of the project, Union Pacific is modifying some of the elevation, which will eliminate the illusion of ghost children pushing cars. I still don't know about that one. I think you might have scared the ghost children away. But one other thing, I didn't even want to play this part of the video because when you see the car rolling from outside,
from the outside,
it doesn't, like the illusion doesn't even quite work the same. Like, does it look uphill? Kind of. But when it comes back to the car, no.
It looks like it's downhill, doesn't it?
It looks like it's rolling downhill, right?
Yeah.
Now, as he gets further down, yeah, like even look now, like it broke the whole thing. It looks like it's just rolling downhill to me. So here, the horizon, you've got all these trees in the horizon line.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the trees seem to be at a little bit of an angle, which is probably screwing up your perception as well.
Probably.
But, well, that's the best I could do with it, Christy. And you know how critical...
You did a good job.
Yeah, you know how critical I am of all this stuff. So
yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And as Mike points out, whoever decides when the poll closes, decides.
They do.
Thank you, Mike.
That's the final say right there.
Well,
I
Christy,
saw people up here too. They were like, "Whoa, this is too weird. Stop it."
What did you think of doing it this way?
This was fun.
Yeah. Do you like
This
being
was
on the
fun.
more critical side? I don't know if.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you did
No.
either. You seemed kind of agitated throughout most of the episode.
I got agitated because you sounded a little bit too good.
Oh, really? I'll take that
was
as a
like-
compliment. Jeez.
Listen to him. No, I like being on the other side more.
Yeah.
Because I totally bought this until I started researching it. And I sent it to John and I was like, man, I just debunked it while I was trying to research it completely.
Yeah.
I can't even say but
Yeah.
this is what's happening. No.
Well, that was part of she had sent me her start on the research and I was like, I don't even want to see it because I know there's probably something in there that shattered it for her. And I took the approach of trying to service the story, of looking for the pieces that filled out the story and then coming up with some type of hypothesis that would be supported by those pieces. So
it's just, don't you feel like you're lying to people?
I don't feel like, no, because it did really run up against a real belief of mine. I do believe in those traumatic energy areas. I do. Mm-hmm. We've seen that several times on here. So when I found that I was able to run this up against that belief and then actually started kind of testing it, like when I saw that, it actually didn't happen in San Antonio. Well, that sucks. Well, wait, did they have some kind of major traumas that, like Christy, when I hit that search and I just did a simple Google search on like train accidents, San Antonio, I had the street name for where that specific location is. And those hits came back about what happened in 2019, 2021, and 2024. I was like, whoa, like what the heck is going on with that area? And I had the same assumption you did, that it was, people are going out there because of the creepy haunted place and they're getting hit by cars. None of those stories had that as an element.
That makes it so much worse.
Yeah. So
sad.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I appreciate us switching the hats for this episode. Maybe
That
we'll
was
do it again
fun.
sometime.
We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, definitely. Where can people send suggestions?
Send it to paranormalpurse, PERS, @gmail.com.
All right. And thank you guys
Send them
for
to
hanging
me.
out. That's right. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And if you want to see one of these live, join us in a secret studio. They most of the time happen on Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. Central.
Yep.
Most of the time. We never talk about it because it's secret. So you're one of the few people to know about it. So take advantage.
So
Come join us live. Yeah. Bunch of great people in the chat here. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time on Paranormal Perspective.